Hey everybody, and welcome back. So now we're going to try to get connected to our server, which we didn't manage to do last time. So I've asked ChatGPT for a bit of help, and obviously the first thing that should have been obvious is that Amazon are going to have on their EC2 server some kind of port blocking. So that's something that needs to be taken care of very quickly. So yeah, I mean, the EC2 server is not going to let every port just be open when it runs so that anybody could just instantly hack it. So we're going to need to open port 9000, which is our PeerJS, our PeerServer port. So we're going to go to the EC2 dashboard and look in security groups, which is here. And yeah, obviously don't have one, so that's not good. We need to create one. So this is going to be called the PeerServer group, because we're just going to open up one port for this. Inbound rules. Yeah, this should probably set up like, yeah, I guess we should set up like the SSH would be an obvious one. And the, so we need a custom TCP port 9000, I think. Yeah, maybe we need outbound as well, but I don't know, I'm not sure. So it says, yeah, from inbound traffic, we need 9000. Stores from anywhere. Yes. We'll just do inbound for now. I guess I don't know where the outbound traffic is going to go through in terms of ports. So let's just leave it at 9000 for now and see what that does. So we've got SSH, TCP. That's probably all fine. Create that. Oh. Allows access to SSH and PeerServer API. VPC. A VPC is required to create a security group. What the heck is a VPC? Oh yeah, we didn't put in the IPs as well. My bad. Okay, so a VPC is required to create a security group. What's a VPC in AWS security groups? I would have Googled the answer before, had to read a guide, and now I just get told what it is. A virtual private cloud, security groups distinct, virtual network is logically associated with it's an IP range. Okay, so that's too much explanation. I didn't ask a very specific question, did I? So we're gonna take this. Maybe it's because I'm not logged in actually. I think I am though. Yeah, it's because I'm not logged in. Oh crap. Start again. Well, that's one of the things. Yeah, there we go. Because it's actually the what was it called? VPC, virtual private cloud. Yeah, I have one. This one, which I'm guessing is something to do with the EC2 server I set up. So let's do it again. PeerServer allows SSH and probably SSH is enabled by default, but just in case, and PeerServer connection. Inbound rule, custom TCP, port 9000, any IP. Like I said before, if you were doing this from a more secure setup, then you would want to put your own IP in here, and not, or like the range of IPs that you use, and not just any IP, because this means that anybody, there's no restriction on who can access that. Oh, like an outbound rules all traffic, so that's good. Yep, so it lets the server send out any information. That's good. And then do we need to assign that the security group to this thing? Yeah, security groups. Yeah, so it already has some stuff attached to it here. So we can change, can we change security groups? Networking security, change security groups. Remove, no security groups attached. PeerServer, there it is, the one I just created. Add security group, save. So yeah, we had a security group set up by default, which just allowed port 22, which is the SSH that we used to get in from our console. But I need to remove that and replace it with something that also has the port 22. So I was right about that. And it has the port 9000 for us to access it externally. I don't know if we need to restart the server. Is it running? Updated. Yeah, it's running. That's okay. We don't need to restart, I guess. That's cool. So let's start it up. Fire it up. No, okay. Don't have it in here, so didn't save the commands from before. So we're going to go back to PeerJS, and we're supposed to do PeerServer. Oh no, it was right next to that tab. Oops. So we're supposed to do PeerJS port 9000 and then type in the app name. Oops. So here we go. So this is going to be called, what did we call it? WebRTC test. That was it. Key PeerJS port 9000. Yes. Okay. And now we load it into we take our IP, public IP, copy, and then do 9000. And it was webRTC test. Nice. Ta-da! So we're up and running. Now we can do more things, which maybe we want to start doing from our test app. So it's running. That means that we can do API calls to it. Oh yeah, so we're going to try to put this in a Noodle. Okay, so let's get this is my test, my training app, my Super BNB app. So let's imagine we're going to do voice chat between the renters and the listers. So we're going to do experiments page. That was the audio player, I think. So we don't need that anymore. And we'll just stick a group in here. And we need to have what did I want to have? Oh yeah, so the code. Yes. So there's a JavaScript file that's required to run PeerJS in the front end of the browser site. So for the user to connect to our server that we set up. So it's offering us to download. If it didn't, I could just save this file. Just go here and save it because, well, there's nothing wrong with putting the script in the head code directly. We can do that. We can just take that copy and go here into the settings and go to head code and then put it in here. And so that will download the code from an external source into the project. What I could have also done, I just wanted to show that as an example because I think it's handy, is to download it. Ooh. So we're going to save this. PeerJS.min.js, that's the one. Put it into our downloads, why not? And then we're going to go to Noodle and we're going to open the project folder because we can actually put it into the project folder directly. I created my own folder inside the project folder. If you haven't watched the tutorial where I explain this, just for a reminder, everything that's inside the project folder in the Noodle project will be deployed when you deploy your project to AWS or whatever, Google Cloud or whatever you want. All of these files will be deployed. So you can make your own folders and make your own paths within the project. So I have like a media folder, and within there I have images and videos. So I've made these myself, and it means that I can reference that in the project, like /media/images, and it'll know what I'm talking about. And when it gets deployed, it'll equally know what is being talked about. So I already have some scripts in here. I'm going to add this one. Ignore the princesses again. 2 little girls, it's not me. Although I could, like coloring princesses. There's nothing wrong with that, but I don't. So PeerJS.min.js means that now it's in my project path. So instead of the head code that references the PeerJS distribution, which, you know, maybe you could argue, oh, but it's actually better because it's going to always download the most recent version of PeerJS. But this is actually PeerJS at 1.5.2, so it's referencing a very specific version. So I don't really feel like it's necessary to have that. I can just type in scripts / what's it called? PeerJS.min.js. Et voila. So that will also equally load the exact same script. Nothing changes. It just means that I have a local copy. So if like PeerJS decide to take the project down and you know it's no longer valid, but the code is still solid and doesn't need to be changed, then you know if they take down the cloud storage of their code, then I would need to have a local version. If I had a local version, then it wouldn't disappear. I would still have the code. This is the full code for the project. So I don't, you know, if this is stable and works and doesn't need to be updated in the future, then I'm good. And even if it does need to be updated, I could theoretically give the code to a developer, you know, a JavaScript developer, and say, hey, could you help me to update this code because the guys who originally had the repo have discontinued it, or it's, you know, they're not updating it anymore. So that would be all very fine and possible. So peer create a new peer. I don't know what that means, but we'll find out. Our peer, new peer. Okay, I'm not a good coder, so this is where you'll get me just fumbling around and saying I don't know what to do. But before I embarrass myself, can you read? You read the following guide for setting up PeerJS in the front end and tell me how I can do a test call in my web app project. I'll not tell it using JavaScript. I'll not tell it that I'm using Noodle, because sometimes when you mention that you're using a particular tool and ChatGPT doesn't know the tool that well, it'll try to answer with what it sort of knows about the tool. To test a call, and then you first need to include the PeerJS library in the web page, then create a peer object to use to create and receive connections. Each peer object. Okay. So let's do function. I don't know if we need a function or a script actually. We need a function if it's just one function at a time, and we can link them together, or we need a script if it's actually like several things that need to work in unison inside the script. So constant hi, you have a con ID. Okay, our peer is new peer. Okay. So const peer equals new peer. Now we're going to do outputs results equals peer. Let's see what comes out. Cannot access peer before initialization. Okay. We need a string to get out of there. Have a look at what comes out. Maybe we need to initialize the code on the page then. Let me think. Let's go into Learn Book, because there's a code that Eric from Noodle created for me that's in here, input components, and TinyMCE has a code in it. So yeah, and they use that to script URL. He uses this to load a script from a rich text editor called TinyMCE. So create element script ID, unique ID, set attribute src, append JavaScript. Oh yeah, so he did this to append the script code to the head of the page, but actually maybe we just need to reload the dang page then. So it wasn't a case of having a script to load it, it was just that maybe we needed to have the page reload. So let's try that. Experiment page button. No, it doesn't work. Cannot access peer before initialization. what's it say? Kind of access peer. Initialization. You're trying to use the peer object in PeerJS before it's been initialized. This can happen in an attempt to call the peer object before peer on open function event is triggered. Ah, I see. New P. Oh, because it's also a capital P as well. That does make a little difference. Ooh, look at this. Just a capital P. That's like that. At least that, like, I don't even think a developer would laugh at me for that, because that's a classic mistake, is not just kind of rushing through your code and not reading it for, you know, reading it backwards and forwards to see if there's any thing missing, like capital letters and stuff like that. So what do we get when we did that? We have a peer ID, we have a server ID. Do we see anything in here? No, we don't. That's okay, I don't mind. We got a circular, yeah. We got a peer ID, we got a server ID. It's not been destroyed, it's not been disconnected, it's open. So this is kind of like a webhook, I guess. It's just been opened up. There's no events in there. No connections, options, PeerJS. We see all the deets. So we've got a peer created, and at the moment it doesn't know where to go. It doesn't have anything to do with that peer, but you know, it's there. So the code works, and it's returning something, which is very nice. So now we create a peer object, which is used to create and receive connections. Each peer object is assigned a unique ID. So we got that. To start a data connection, use peer.connect with the destination peer as ID. So we actually need to take that peer ID, outputs peer ID equals peer dot underscore ID. So let's see, that definitely comes out. Peer ID. Not yet. No. Probably because there's an underscore, I guess. Do I need to do like this? Is that bad? Bad script. Yeah, no, bad script. Bad script. Still null? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? ID. Why is that not right? Why is that not right? Do I take away that? Null. This is the stupidest questions in the world, but like I said, that's the best thing to be able to ask ChatGPT, these stupid questions. How can I extract the ID field from this object? I'm trying peer dot, so let's say results dot ID, but it doesn't work. You should be able to use result.id if result. Check a result. Okay, so it should work then. We are not wrong. Peer.id. So we're gonna put the underscore back in there. It's ID. Oh, maybe I need to put a semicolon afterwards. I put peer ID null, so that there's result. Ah, maybe it's results.id. No, doesn't like it. Cannot read properties of undefined. Yeah, so it's not, there is no result.id. There is an ID, it's just outputting null for whatever reason. So there's the ID. Give me the ID. Give it to me. If result is in an instance of a class, an ID is private or property, you may not be able to and if the object is being populated asynchronously from a database, ensure that your code is accessing result is inside a callback. Okay. Okay. So what if we say await peer then? Do that whole promise thing. No, it doesn't like it. Yeah, there's definitely something wrong there in terms of the way that it's outputting. Yeah, so I can see the result, but it doesn't appear straight away. The ID comes out as null. That's been loading asynchronously in JavaScript. Yes. Okay. So we need to do the try and the catch, don't we? Yeah, with some function. Yeah. So can you do a try and catch for the PeerJS new peer code, please? I'm being very lazy, but I'd rather know that ChatGPT's made something nice for me and I can just copy it than just messing around with it myself. So peer on open. Oh, what's this? Peer on open function ID. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So okay. So we create the peer and then we already do the on option. Maybe that's what we were missing. So we define a variable with let, and then we say that that's going to be the peer, and then and so we need to have in here our outputs. So we can leave the console log; it's no big deal. Peer ID is ID from that function, and I'll also have outputs result equals peer. So we'll get the peer result, and then inside that function, we're also going to output the ID that goes in from the peer object. If that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, so that you saw that it gave the result and it waited for the result before it outputted the peer ID. So it was just that it was trying to access the peer ID too early, and it wasn't. It was running it asynchronously, so it's running it at the same time and saying, "Oh, I don't have a peer ID yet," and then afterwards it does have one, but it's too late. So that's a nice structure for the code. It's left me a bit of space here for more operations. It's looking good. Peer on open. Yeah, so when it opens, then it runs this function that does. Okay, so like as soon as this peer object has that open true, then it runs the ID fetching thing. So it gives it the time to run and do what it needs to do. There's an open event there that's happened. Nice. Okay. So now we've done that. We've done our peer, and we've done peer connect another peer's ID. On open will launch when you successfully launch. On open function here, you have a con ID, con send media calls. I'm gonna try that maybe. Get user media, yeah. Get user media video true, function stream. So stream some video or canvas elements. Okay. So we don't need, yeah, because we don't need a data connection. Maybe we do need a data connection. No, here it says we can just do peer.call, same as we did up here. Peer.connect. Ah, no. Yeah. No. Peer.receive, call data function. Okay, we'll print hi. So this could be maybe a good test. Peer connect another peer's ID. So we need the peer ID in another window. That's going to be possibly tricky. No, it's not, because we have a console log with the peer ID. Haha. So there it is. My peer ID is So if we launched this one with the peer ID, and then I take the address 192.168.124 to 168.124, port 8574. Okay, so we've got two browser windows. We've got one browser here and one browser here, and that theoretically will enable us to create two connections. Let's open up our developer stuff. And then we go to experiments, plural, I can't remember. Nope, experiment, singular, yes. So here we run and we get an ID. Oh, we shouldn't do this yet because we haven't actually set up the codes yet. But yeah, so that's 9814 blah, blah, blah. And this one is 95F8. So we have two different peers because it's two different browsers. It's considered as like essentially two different users. So that's good. That's what we want. Leave that open. So the function runs. I think we're going to need a script for this, to be honest, because we need to keep, the thing about script is you can keep stuff, I think, in the script. So you can like define what the user ID is and then keep that and use that later, I think. So we can try this bit in here instead. And so you see the outputs get scored out because in scripts it's script.outputs and script.outputs, or script.signal if you want to do like a signal output. And inputs would be script.inputs. Whatever. Just so you know. So we've got console error, that's great. So this could also be script outputs error. So we have it in both the console and in Noodl showing us what the error is. Okay, so this would be script.signals. Signals? No. Yeah. Script.signals dot initialize equals select this equals function and then here and then this and then like that. I think that's right. So the button, no, has no inputs. Dang it. So it's not that. That's a problem. Yes. Click initialize. So it's in a function. We actually need to have that open and close brackets to initialize the function. But because here we're defining something that is a function, we don't need to have that, I guess. So it's script.signals dot whatever you want to call it. And then that'll be the signal on the outside. So script.signals.initialize function. And then it runs this. And so that's good. And then that goes here, results, peer ID, and an error just in case we have an error. But this is our PeerJS script. And we'll refresh that and run it. And it's good. So it does the same thing as the function, just that now we have the ability to call it from the outside, and we'll be able to call other things as well. So now the peer object is filled in with data. So we have the ID of that, it'll output the ID, and I can access then peer further down in the code and do other stuff with it. So like, for example, this con equals peer connect, blah, blah, blah. So we can take this and put it in here. And we're going to say that this is script signals connect equals function. And then that's here and there. And so peer connect equals another peer's ID. So this would be inputs. What are we going to call them? The recipient? No, that's a bit of a weird name. Script dot inputs dot receiver ID. That's not bad. On open function sound high, so that's good. And then this is the receive. So peer on connect function con da 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 will print high. So on data. So we run that then. connection function con. Connection on data. Yes. Yeah. Does that make sense? But right now we're not even connected to anything, so how would it even know where I'm going to? Doesn't make any sense. We haven't given it the IP of our server yet. That's the weird thing. So I'm confused about that. The broker connections PeerJS connects to PeerServer. So we can't test this unless it's actually connected to the server. What you see in the following link, how would you connect to PeerServer from the front end PeerJS code that you see on this page? So you would initiate a new peer object and optionally specify connection options. Well, that would have been nice. But are you just imagining? Because ChatGPT has a tendency to imagine things. So are you just imagining this? Or is it really what it's supposed to do? Where did you find this information? Let's see if we can do a little search and find it. Host port. Host. No, there's nothing here about, okay. Maybe it's here. Ah, look, there we go. It was not lying. It is telling the truth. So we can take this lovely code here and put this into this lovely code here. So peer and the function is going to contain some ID. What is the some ID part? Your custom ID. Okay, I don't want a custom ID. I want it to give me an ID. I like having the ID. So let's just do it like this. Host is this one. So host is this, and it's going to be HTTP because we don't have an SSL certificate. I haven't done the HTTPS yet, and that's okay. WebRTC test is the path. Oh, that's exciting. Let's do it. I was wondering why I didn't see anything in the server. Well, that's why. And the result is, looks okay. There's no ID though. Ah, because I didn't specify an ID. Well then, we'll just do a unique ID, I guess, so that we can get it to shut up. So this is going to be new peer script inputs unique ID, comma. So this is the sender unique ID, sender ID, because it's going to say unique ID on the node anyway, so don't need to be repetitive. Okay, let's do it again. Connect, no ID. Event client 1, events, open. Connections we don't have. API we don't seem to have. Socket I don't know. There we go. So WebSocket. Yeah, okay. Put in the HTTP, so it's done. It's applied. It's appended WebSocket to what I put in, but actually it needed to be just the IP, not the HTTP. It's not accessing the web version of it. It's accessing the WebSocket WS version of it. So that's fine. Look at that. I got an ID and I got a result. Socket. Noise. Disconnected, false. It's all good. There's nothing there. It's good. I think that's actually connected. Ping timer. So it all looks good. I'm getting a cough, and this has been very, very good this session. So we've got a proper connection with our API. We got a result. We got a peer ID. And now all we need to do is start sending messages. So it's very exciting. I'm going to stop and go and get myself some tea or something. And I'll see you.